All right. So Amanda and have been friends for a long time. We absolutely believe in the San Antonio photography or photographer community, and we both on our own have done things that benefit the photographer community. But there is that saying that two heads are better than one, and so we're teaming up. We're working together on this project to put together something that's beneficial to everyone, that has, we want it to be something that was accessible to everyone, easy to get to at a time that works for people. There is no one time that works for everybody, but also cost-wise, because some of my classes can get pretty expensive. I don't know, some of you have taken my classes before. I have classes that some are free. I've got a camera club that's only $10. That's pretty cheap, but most of the stuff is $100 and up, and the most expensive thing on my price list is 12,000, and so that puts it out of the reach of some. Not everybody, or I wouldn't be able to have that price list on my price list. That price on my price list, but that's the range. And so we wanted to have something that we put together to bring people in, to solve some curiosity, make it where it's easy, make it where it doesn't cost much or anything. And this, you're here and it's not costing you anything. There's Amanda and I are putting our time in, and we're just giving it because that's what we do. That's what we believe in. Now we can't always do that because, well, we've got house payments to make, and we want food on our table just like you guys do. So we can't do everything that way, but when we can, we want to do that kind of thing. And before I tell you a little bit more about Portrait Profits, I wanted to ask Amanda, or share with let Amanda have the floor, and share what she wants to about our base of why we're doing this, and anything else you want to share, Amanda.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on your Monday at 6:30. Hopefully we won't take too much of your time. That way you can get to dinner. But like Jim said, we have definitely partnered up to bring Portrait Profits to you. We've been kind of brainstorming over it for the last, I don't know, Jim, what do you think? Like 3 months at this point.
That's right.
And one of the reasons that we've decided to do it is because at Digital Pro Lab, we very consistently have clients come in that don't know where to start with building their business in photography. I know there are some faces that I'm seeing here that we've had that conversation, and we've tried, to guide you as much as possible with the answers that maybe we have. But we also know that we're not the only resource for that. And Landers Photography School has always been an instrumental part of San Antonio's photography community in building businesses for photographers. And Jim is everywhere. He's constantly supporting our community. He's on Facebook, he's on Instagram, he's everywhere. So if you don't know Jim by now, then I don't know where you've been. But that's Jim. And if you don't know me, I'm Amanda, and I'm one of the owners of Digital Pro Lab along with my husband. And for those of you that don't know, in 2020, Ray and I officially took over 100% of the business from the original owner. And I always say, what a heck of a year to start, but but we definitely made it through. We're very, very strong as a company. And even as part of that strength, we wanted to bring on and invest in the relationships with our photographers. And one of the people that we brought on this year is Javi Valdez, who's also in here. And we brought him on as the client development director. He is specifically hired to help our photographers, our clients. Any questions you have, if you can't, reach me, that's why we brought Javi on. If you need more resources, that's what he's there for. And when Javi and I were really discussing what we needed for our clients, one of the things that was an integral missing part was what you will find out that Portrait Profits is. It's going to answer a lot of the questions that you might have, whether it's where do I get started? How do I get started? What do I charge? What's my goal? How much do I want to offer my clients? Everything kind of in that vein, as well as why you want to get into the business of photography, why you want to get in business. I know we've been doing stuff there with Digital Pro Lab for a long time. As far as working there, we've owned parts of the company for years now, and now own 100% of the company. But that why is integral, and hopefully through a lot of these sessions and courses that you're going to get through Portrait Profits, you're going to start to see a bigger picture that's going to help guide you to be not only profitable but sustainable. Building a sustainable business is probably one of the most important things that you should be focusing on. And hopefully I can help with that, as well as Jim with his courses can guide you to that. So really it's just about bringing resources to you here in San Antonio. So
You rock, Amanda.
I try.
Everybody give her a big heart, because that's what she has. Show me you know how to do it. Yeah, you can do it like Jessica just did it, or you can do it down in the reactions and put that heart right next to your, on the upper right or upper left of your screen.
I don't see a heart in the reaction.
What do you see in your reactions? I know there's some of them are different. What do you see in
Clap
yours?
and a thumbs up.
Okay, the thumbs up will do the trick. Or a clap. That's interesting. I thought they would have it. I thought that would be something that was on all of them. Thanks. And Amanda's doing a lot of things. Digital Pro Lab is doing a lot of things. Digital Pro Lab has been a strong member in the San Antonio photography community for a long time, decades. I don't remember when Phil started it, but it's been a long time. Do you know what year it was?
1993. So we're coming up on 30 years here in the next couple of years.
Isn't that so awesome, you guys? To have a resource that's been around that long and still going strong. I just love that. And Lander Photography School hasn't been around quite that long. We started in '97, so you're the older sibling. So, but at first, when Lander Photography started, it was just private classes. I got my degree in 1991 from Sam Houston State University, a photography degree, a 4-year degree. And I had started part-time in 1983, but I was still just in high school at the time. But got my degree, started in as a full-time photographer in '91. Struggled to make it happen. I mean, the teachers that I had at my school were wonderful. And you probably have experienced this in school, whether it's college or classes or whatever. But our teachers were amazing. They loved us. They were passionate about photography. But there was one major thing that they couldn't pass along to us, and that was how to run a business. They didn't know. They hadn't done that. The academic world didn't require that in order to work there. They just required that they had a bachelor's degree in anything and a master's degree in fine arts with an emphasis in photography, meaning a handful of photography classes. And in the academic world, that's supposed to be enough to train you to be able to make it in the real world. Oh, wow. Talk about a joke. So it doesn't work that way. Out of the 33 students I graduated with, within 5 years, I was the last one still a photographer. So if that's not a sign that the academic world in photography, I'm not talking about other things, doesn't have a good understanding of what's going on, I'm not sure what could prove it to you. Again, they were wonderful. They loved us. I loved them, but they couldn't teach what they didn't know. And so I had to learn the hard way. I'm still learning. I don't think that I'll ever get to a point where I know everything. But in '97, I got to the point where I realized I have something to share, but it wasn't on the business side, not yet. One of my friends, well, she became a friend. She kind of effectively shook me, figuratively. She did not touch me at all, but so it was not like she struck my head or my shoulders. Nope, that didn't happen. She shook my mind. She said, "I want you to teach me the basics of photography." And I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm a newbie. I'm a new guy." This was, I'd started in '91. It was only '97. I'd only been doing it for 6 years. I was new. And I was looking at these people who were so much better than me, looking up to them. And I'm thinking, why don't you ask those guys? They know what they're doing. That's the people that I would ask. And they're I went and visited I probably visited 500 photographers over the years, just so I can see what they do and visit with them and hear their points of view and their philosophies. I just wanted to learn what I could learn. But she effectively said, you've been doing this for 6 years and you have a degree in photography. Do you seriously think that you can make me feel like you don't have something more than what I've got that you could share with me? I'd never thought of it that way before. And so I wrote my first class at that point in time, 1997, and taught it. I haven't told anybody this part, but I'm going to tell you. In my garage, I set up a little office in my garage, and that's where we taught the class. Part of it, we actually went on location. Her idea, she probably did not like the idea of being in the garage. Sorry. But that's what I had. That was the tools that I had available at that time. So that's what I did. I had a nice desk in there, but it was still the garage. So it has progressed over the years. Again, that was 1997. And about 10, maybe 12 years later was when I wrote my first business class, 2009. And at that point, I realized that this was really necessary. This is really needed because there's so many good photographers out there. There's a lot. Would you agree with that? There's a lot of good photographers out there. Now, I'm not saying they're good 100% of the time. I'm not saying 100% of their work is freaking amazing. I'm saying that it's good enough that the people that's buying it from them are going to be happy. The problem isn't, generally speaking, the quality of the photography. Yes, that can happen. But generally speaking, the quality of photography is good enough, with exceptions. But the business side is almost always the problem. We just don't know about the business side. Now, we kind of think that we do. We can't possibly know what we don't know. That's where the word ignorance comes from. By the way, if you think the word ignorant means stupid, look it up in the dictionary and you'll realize ignorance just means the things you don't know yet. That's all it means. It has nothing to do with your level of intelligence. It just means the things you don't know yet, meaning that the majority of things in our life we're ignorant of. There are more things that we don't know than things that we do know. So therefore, we live in a majority of ignorance. We just try to reduce that. But photographers don't know that business side well enough. And so I want to elevate, and I want others to help me elevate. This is why I'm grateful for Amanda, and because she does that, and now we're working together to do this together, to elevate that business side. Because there are a lot of photographers here in San Antonio that think the market is saturated with photographers. And I believe thoroughly that that is just not the case. I believe there's room for more. And I believe that there's room for the ones that are here making $30, $40, $50, $100 per session to be making another zero or more easily added to that number. I've got a question for you, and I want you to answer it in chat. I want to see your opinion. This is just out of the blue, kind of a question. What do you feel, what do you think the average sale in San Antonio is for a family portrait? So go down to chat, open up that chat window, and make sure it stays on everyone, and put in a number, average sale for a family portrait. Now this is everything. So that means what money will come out of that client's account and go into yours. So if you do a creation fee and prints, well, then what's that added together? Good numbers. All right. And really close to each other. Ah, like that. Perfect. All right. So yeah, the last three, those are some numbers I like a lot better. What do you guys think? But it looks like the range here, average that you expect for a family portrait, or that you're thinking in San Antonio average. By the way, over the last, about 10 years or so, and I didn't do anything last year on it, but have done an average over the last 9 or 10 years of what the average sale is, and so I actually know what it is. And when I say average sale, I'm talking about photographers who are not the just the ones who do it here and there every once in a while, you know, that don't that maybe have a full-time job, and so they do it for their friends for $50. I'm not really including them into that mix. I'm talking about the ones that actually have a price list, and they actually do try to bring in business. They try to bring in clients. So good numbers here. So it looks like between 300 to 500 is a pretty popular response, and 1200 to 1500 is that higher end. And so those are numbers that I expected. When I've asked this question before, I've often got answers like that. Now, before I tell you what the answer is, I'm going to ask you another question. What's the lowest price that you have seen posted for a family portrait session? What's the smallest amount that you've seen? Not free, not with somebody's doing it as a student, but actually a post that you've seen online saying that they do portrait sessions. What's the smallest amount you've ever seen? Yeah. 50, 75, 45, under 100. Not looking, might be a smart idea. $50. Yeah, free. 99 cents. You have not seen 99 cents. Have you really? Oh my gosh. That's interesting. All right. So yeah, 100. Okay. Would it surprise you for me to say that amount is too small an amount, that they need to be charging more? I hopefully it.
Joking. This would kill them both. One funeral at a time here.
Hopefully. Yeah, those amounts are, they're not going to cause you to make a profit. Your time alone won't allow it. In fact, we're going to be talking about how to discover your niche and narrow down to just what you're going to do today. And next time, we're going to talk about how to narrow down the price to it, so it's just yours in the foundation for a portrait price list. That's next week on Monday. But yeah, those are some interesting numbers. Now I'm going to answer the question of what is the average. The average, I'm going to give a range because there are some variables in here that would make one number more appropriate than another, and I'm not going to get into those details. But I will tell you that the average family portrait is between $1,500 and $2,500. That is the average family portrait session and prints in San Antonio. Now, other areas are more or less. So I'm not commenting on what the average in Dallas is or LA. I'm saying in the greater San Antonio area, which means it's not just San Antonio. It extends even past Bernie. It does go a little bit further than that, New Braunfels, Seguin. So it does include those areas. But this general San Antonio metropolitan area average 1,500 to 2,500. Some of the variables that cause there to be a range is to what extent are they actually doing the work? Are they full service? And I'm curious what you think the definition of full service is, but I'm not going to ask you to put it into chat. If you want to, feel free. I just feel like it's going to take too long to answer a question of what do you think the definition of a full service photographer is. So I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to tease it first. Does this person I'm going to describe, and you can put yes or no in the chat if you want to, does this person I'm about to describe fit your definition of full service? This photographer does the session and puts all the images on Dropbox or some other kind of transfer service or a USB drive and sends that to the client. Is that full service for a portrait photographer? Now, I'm not talking about a headshot for a business portrait, because that could be entirely true that is full service for that kind of work. I'm talking about a portrait where the end result has the potential to be a portrait on the client's wall. So do you feel like, And I'm getting, nope, nope, nope. Okay, so we got a consensus here. I don't think there's going to be anybody disagreeing with that. I like the exclamation point in all caps, Robin. Thank you. I like your energy. So, okay, so if that doesn't fit your definition of a full service, maybe this does. The photographer does a portrait planning session beforehand, then the session, and then they show the photographs online and allow them to pick whatever they want. How's that? Is that full service? Good answer, Jimmy Thomas. Almost. We're getting there. That's right. Warm. Yeah. Yep. Avi. Thank you. Lorelei. Perfect. Halfway there. Yep. Thanks, Henry. Yes. Excellent. These are good answers. So the first two things that I have described, the first one is called a shoot and burn. That's just the cliche or the what a lot of people call it, shoot and burn. Now, shoot and burn has its place. All tools, all business models in photography have their place. For instance, if you're photographing an event and they want those images immediately so that they can upload them to their website, like within 5 minutes of the event ending, shoot and burn is the appropriate tool. That's the right thing to do. What about the next one where I said there may be a planning session, then the session itself, and then you put your photographs online? I call that one post and pray. Post and pray, because you're posting them, you're putting them online, and you're hoping, please buy some prints. I want to have some extra sales here. Yeah, I got paid for my creation fee, but I want some extra, please buy some more stuff. Post and pray. You guys have heard of post and pray, right? You might not have called it that, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. How about this next one? And there's a couple other ways I could say this, but I'm going to go straight to the end. Haven't heard of it, but it fits. Yep. And so you have the planning session. You have the session itself. You cull the images, meaning you take out the ones you don't want to show them. By the way, if you're a portrait photographer and you're showing every single photograph you created, why? Do you have no respect for their time? Are you not the expert? If you're the expert, then show them the cream of the crop. Show them the things that fit the description that you came up with during the planning session. And don't show them everything. Now you may say, well, I'm not showing everything. If they close their eyes, I'm not showing that. If there's a photograph that doesn't fit what they're trying to accomplish, get rid of it, take it out. You don't need to show them a whole bunch of images. All right, that's a little bit of philosophy in there. Didn't mean to throw that in. So you've got planning session, you've got the photography session, you've got your culling that you're doing yourself. You're pulling out the ones you don't want to show them. Then you're showing them those photographs in person or via Zoom or some other online video chat. And I'm going to tell you how I do it in just a moment. And then once you get those prints completed, you sign them, frame them, and deliver them to their home and install them on the wall in the place where they described during the planning session. Now we're at full service. Do you agree? There's little things in the middle that you can do also, but that's full service. Full service means they don't have to do any service themselves. They don't have to do any work. If there's any work left for your client to do, it does not fit the definition of full service. Anybody disagree with that? If there's any work left for them to do, it's not full service. Now, does that make it a bad thing? Does that mean you're a bad photographer if you don't do all that? Not even slightly. It just means that it's not full service. It's something other than full service. It's still it's still good. Everything you're doing is good. It's all good. If you're doing it with your client in mind, trying to do the best possible job for them, you are doing a good thing. You are a good person. Keep on doing that. Just keep on growing like you're doing. You're taking this class. I'm preaching to the choir. So therefore I know you want that. Keep on working towards that. Now, a little bit of little pieces in there. I'll tell you a little bit about the signing. I'm going to tell you my average sale for a family portrait session, and it's higher than any of these numbers. In fact, it's greater than double any of even the highest number that you saw here. My average sale for a family portrait session is $3,800, which is definitely not the highest in San Antonio. There's a handful that are in the 5,000 plus range, a handful in there are very few that are in the 10,000 plus range, and there's only one that I'm aware of that's in the 20,000 range here in San Antonio. Does that surprise you that there are some portrait photographers earning greater than $20,000 per session? Lorelei, I like that question. Do you know if you got a private flight from here to, and this is for Lorelei, but everybody can listen to this. Do you know if you wanted to take a private flight from here in San Antonio just to Denver, that the cheapest you're probably going to find is 13, maybe 13,000. And that's on a turboprop. If you want a jet, you're not going to find anything less than 20,000. Those businesses exist. And that's just a one-time thing. A family portrait on someone's wall, they get to enjoy that for years. It'd be like keeping the plane. I had no clue. It does surprise me. Definitely doable. Thank you. Someone can. That's right. Good responses. I like that. So occasionally, someone will, when I share my prices, is at the very first time I have an opportunity to. So that's generally a phone call. So it's before the planning session. I want them to know ahead of time how much it's going to be. But sometimes they don't listen very well. You guys ever experienced that? Client not listening real well? It's not going to stop, but you can become better at it. Generally though, when it comes to portrait work, your target market is, generally speaking, moms. Generally speaking. Now, that doesn't mean dads don't have an interest. It doesn't mean that dads are never taking the lead. It means that most of the time, 80, 90, 95%, it's huge. It's the moms that you're working with, that you're spending the most time with, meaning the dads aren't paying as much attention. Dads have to pay attention though. If they're going to work with me, they have to. Bottom line, they have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If dad's too busy to show up to the planning session, we're not working together. Simple as that. And the reason is because I have to have my clients on the same page. They have to be. If he doesn't know what's going on because he didn't listen to his wife, and that almost never happens, right? Husbands listening to their wives, they always listen to their wives, don't they? That's why I need for them to be present when I'm doing the planning session. They have to be there. They have to listen. They have to focus. I want them to know what's going on here. I want them to understand how important the family portrait is. It's much more important to that than that $20,000 flight to Denver. Much more. But still, occasionally, dad's not paying attention. And when I show the photographs at the portrait selection consultation, I use a projector, and I project in the place, in the size it's going to be. So wherever they've told me they want it to be, I have a projector. I project it in that size. And if they want to see it smaller, I just make this picture size smaller. But I put it up on the wall and I say, that's my $5,000 size. And mom is normally silent because she already heard my numbers. Dad, I love dad's reactions. This has happened more than once, but I'm picturing one person in my head as I'm saying this. I said, this is my $5,000 size. And dad just had a knee-jerk reaction. He said, what? Is it lined in gold? And I said, actually, yes. I sign every single one of my photographs in gold. I have gold leaf and a heated ballpoint pen. So yes. And you know what? It hasn't, while I haven't had the opportunity to say that very often, there hasn't been a single change in the reaction. It's been silence after I've said that. That's kind of fun. After his outburst reaction. But so I'm sharing the size, and often they'll say, well, can I see it one size smaller? And why do you think they're saying, do I want to see it one size smaller? It's because they want to see a smaller price. They're not really interested in seeing a smaller photograph. But it's pretty interesting. The majority of them go back up to that size because it is the appropriate size for the space. It's choosing the right tool for the job. It's not about money as much as it is about choosing the right tool for the job. Now that brings me to the main topic that I wanted to share with you guys today, and that's discovering your niche. You are a tool to help somebody else get what they want. You're just a tool at Home Depot or Lowe's. All of you are really good tools. You can help people get what they want. But there is not one of you who can do everything that everyone else here watching today can do. So therefore, you're not a multi-tool that can do all that. Sure, you can press the button in front of anything. You can press the button in front of a car. You can press the button in front of a house, a family, a high school senior. You can press the button in front of a pen. You can press the button in front of anything, but is that the differentiator that you want to have? Is I have the ability to press the button? No. You want to do what makes you happy and makes the people you work with happy. Isn't that what we want? We want to do the things that cause us to have excitement and energy and dedication and passion. We want to do those things. There's certain things that you know you enjoy doing in photography and things that you don't enjoy doing in photography. Have you ever said no to a client? That's not what I do. I don't do that kind of thing. Let's say action sports. If someone called you right now and said, I need photographs of my kid playing volleyball at the next volleyball game, are you going and answer this in chat? Are you going to say yes or no? I need a photograph of my kid at the next volleyball game. When is it? Yeah, availability is an important variable. Yeah. So to some, no way they're going to take a job like that. And lots of reasons for it. They may not have the equipment they need for it. They may never have done that kind of thing before. They may have a calendar that's booked. There's a lot of reasons why you might say no. But I want to make sure that this point is brought across in that you cannot be the best at all the different niches or niches available in photography. You cannot be the best. And if you're going to claim to care about your clients and give them the best possible service you can give them, you're not even being honest if you say yes to everything, because it is impossible to be the best at everything. Besides, it's not beneficial for you to try and do everything. You may think, well, I need that income. I totally understand that. I need income too. I like eating. I like internet. I wouldn't be able to talk to you without it. So I get it. Makes sense. But if you narrow your niche, you will not only do the kind of work you enjoy the most, but you'll make more money doing it, and you actually will become the best. Jack of all trades, master of none? Not for me. I specialize for photography side. I specialize in emotional family portraits as home decor. Can you tell people what you do that clearly? If not, write it down. That's your homework assignment. I have some other homework assignments for you too. You should be able to very clearly tell somebody what it is that you do. I'll repeat it for you, and you're welcome to use it. I specialize in emotional family portraits as home decor. Now, if that's what is outwardly visible, if that's what people can see, that person who's looking for the sports photographer is probably likely to click away from me and move on to someone who says they do sports, because I made it very clear what I do. And you may, again, be thinking, well, aren't you pushing a lot of dollars out the window by doing that? Yes, but they're dollars I don't want, because I'm not the best at that. And I claim that I am going to give them the best. If I can't do the best job, I refer. I ask someone else. I tell them, this is not what I specialize in. This is not what I am good at. Yes, I can press the button in front of anything. And people have talked me into doing things. Like I photographed, oh man, this is 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I photographed food. Man, if you don't have training in photographing food, just stay away. Oh, geez. But they wanted me, it was a meat place, a meat processing place, and they had brisket and sausage and all kinds of great stuff. And yes, I did get to try it. And yes, it was freaking amazing. Those of you who don't like meat, sorry, I do. So, but it was so good. But I've known the owner for, I don't know, I've probably known him 20, 30 years. And he said, I am going to spend this money and I want to spend it with you. And that was after telling him, this is not what I do. It's not what I specialize in. There are people who are really good at this. I think you should call them. And I gave him a phone number of someone, a name and phone number to someone to call. He didn't want it. And I said, I'll do it, but I have to take some time to learn this stuff. And I have to hire a food stylist. You guys know what a food stylist is? I didn't have a clue what a food stylist was, but I had to hire a food stylist. And food stylists are not cheap because there's not very many of them. In fact, I only found, I think, one or two. I was thinking I found two, but I can only picture one in my head. So maybe I only found one. And I hired her, and she was $1,000 a day. So you think that added to the price? Or do you think I just ate that? Added to the price. Why would I pay that? So it increased the price by $1,000, maybe more for you guys, but that I just did an equivalent. And I did it, and I did an okay job. They were thrilled with it, but I knew this was not that great, because the better you focus on things, the more you are able to differentiate between good, better, and best. The less you know, the more things are like, yeah, it's all good. It's all fine. If any of you have a niche, will you share with us in chat what that is? Animals. Weddings, engagements. Okay, cool. Pets, landscape. Does anybody? I like Amanda's. Another landscape. Family photography. Good. Robin, would you like to have a 3,800 average sale? You're on mute, so I couldn't hear you. Editorial fashion, corporate events. Good. Very good. There's a lot of things, of course, that we could specialize in. By the way, I think a lot of people think when you specialize, that means that that's all you do. Maybe as a doctor, you're real strict with that. But as a photographer, you create really good relationships with people. And that's the only reason why I did that food photography example, is because I had formed a really good relationship when I had worked with them a few times before that. Ooh, abstract. And so that's because of that relationship, he asked me to do it. If we didn't have that relationship, he wouldn't. So therefore, I can specialize in just family portrait photography, but still get other, what I call spin-off business. And how much time and effort did I have to put into that? How much money did I spend on that advertising? None. How much time and effort did I put into the marketing materials, writing text, putting posts online, making emails about things other than family portrait? None. They just landed in my lap. So there's two really good reasons not to, there are two additional reasons, really good reasons to just choose one thing or something, two things that are very similar, instead of saying I do everything. One is time. You're not going to do a good job of marketing your business if you're trying to market for the weddings you do, the family portraits you do, the business portraits you do, these high school seniors that you do, the sports, the corporate events, the weddings, whatever it is. If you're trying to do marketing on all those things, you have them on your website, do those things take time? Rhetorical. I know they take time because I did it. Not anymore. But at first, I thought it was the right thing to do to accommodate every single situation. Do you photograph this? Yes, I do. That's not the way to have a successful photography business. It won't work. Without the word no, you will not have a successful photography business. It's not even possible. Now, yes, one man's opinion. You can think I'm crazy all you want, but I have numbers to prove it. What do you have? When you specialize, you become really good at the thing you specialize in. And you form amazing relationships with the people you work with. And they only call you. By the way, if you do your marketing, we'll talk about marketing in a future Portrait Profits show. But if you do your marketing correctly, there are a lot of photographers that will not even, they won't know your name. Because you, in one of my marketing classes, actually a series, a program called EM Essential Marketing. One of the things I say in there is don't seek the seekers. Don't seek the seekers. If you're doing an effective job of marketing in photography, portrait photography, then you do not need to seek the seekers. Meaning the people who are looking for a photographer are looking for deals. For instance, if you're on any Facebook page about photography and someone posts, I am looking for an engagement portrait photographer. I am looking for a family portrait photographer. I'm looking for someone to photograph a high school senior. How many photographers react to that? How many of them put their information there? How many friends of photographers put their friends' information in there? Generally 35 to 75. Yeah, I counted them. I want to be able to prove what I'm saying. So yeah, I count those things. And generally speaking, it's 35 to 75. Now, 75 is rare. I don't usually see quite that many, but 35 to 50 is very normal. Very normal. Yet those same photographers are asking this question or saying this statement. How do I stand out from the crowd? Or I want to stand out from the crowd. Well, if you put yourself in the middle of the crowd, you're not going to stand out from it. When you seek the seekers, you're placing yourself in the crowd, making yourself more difficult to see, not less difficult. My clients never post on Facebook that they're looking for a photographer. It doesn't happen. I have marketing systems, or had, because I'm not doing the family portraits, or I'm not doing the photography much anymore, except for clients that still call me, but I'm not doing any marketing at all. But I would put together programs and systems where I was the only choice. I didn't want to be part of the crowd. I had already dealt with being part of the crowd and I didn't like it. It's no fun being part of the crowd. You guys don't like being part of the crowd. So find a solution to get out from the crowd. We'll talk about how in a future, in a upcoming episode of Portrait Profits. But today we're isolating. We're focusing in on just one thing. And yes, we will get some spinoff business because you're not going to be just, chiseling that into stone. So let's talk about discovering your niche. Not everybody is your potential client. Someone I know years ago told me this. He said, not everyone with a pulse is your potential client. And so if you're after everybody, you're going to spread yourself too thin. By the way, I said there were two things a little while ago when I was talking about the marketing. You don't have time for all that, but you also don't have the money for it. How much money do you have in your marketing budget right now? Is it enough to even do one niche? Because I bet it's not. And you want to spread that over 10, 15, 20, 27 different things that you have the ability to press the button in front of? Really? You got to think about your time. You got to think about your budget. You're going to spread everything so thin that no one will know who you are, and you don't become good at any of them. Not really good, just okay, good enough. And you don't want to describe yourself that way. Three things I want you to do. Follow these 3 steps to know what your photography niche is. And if you have a notepad, write these down. Number 1, define your interests. Define your interests. I'm going to tell you what these are real quick, and I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on them. Photography is just too broad a category. You've got to make a place for yourself in the minds of those who you want to work with. So you've got to define your interests. What do you enjoy? I'm not saying just photography related. I'm saying, what do you enjoy? What are your interests? What do you enjoy? What gets you up in the morning? What gets you energized? What kind of person gets you energized? Because there's people that you cross paths with in life that are very draining. You want to avoid attracting those guys. You have that kind of power, you can do it. Number 2, what do you think you want to do? I mean, it's fine to have a list of 27 things that you have the ability to press the button in front of. But that's got to change. We have to narrow it down. It's okay that you have a large number now, but we have to narrow that down. And number 3, how to narrow the options. First, choose what matches your interest, and then pursue what you're most passionate about. So let's go through those real quick. Number 1, define your interests. Photography is a broad category, so we have to identify our interests and plan a path to match them to our photography. I have a you should, a you must, and a don't. 2 things under you should. You should have a broad perspective of photography. You should have a knowledge of a wide variety of skills, situations, equipment, lighting. I have 2 you musts. You must choose a specialization. This will help you make a place for yourself in the minds of those who you want to work with, which sets you up for the potential to succeed and become profitable. The second you must chase your passions. Now I have 4 don'ts. Don't chase the money. Don't worry that others are better than you. Don't expect things to change or work overnight or in a really short period of time. And don't take the advice of those who have not experienced what you want to experience. So those family members and friends who are who have the best of intentions for you, you got to stop listening to them. They have not been where you want to be. So the first thing I want you to do under define your interests, I want you to make a general list of all the things you would like that aren't in photography, but other areas of your life. The things you like to do, the things you get excited about, the things that you aspire to do, the things that make you proud, the things that you want for others, and the things you can't live without. I want you to make a list, a general list. Just brainstorm on this. One more time, list all the things that you like not in photography, other areas of your life. The things you like to do, the things that get you excited, the things you aspire to do, the things that make you proud, the things you want for others, the things you can't live without. Make a list. Don't try to do that right now. This is homework. Make a list. Next thing, what do you want to do in photography? What do you want to do in photography? Now, I'm going to share my screen real quick because this is a list of several different things. By the way, thank you for typing those out, Amanda. I appreciate that. All right. I am sharing with you a list of multiple different types of photography. This in no way represents every type of photography, but this is a lot of them. And you can look through that. I'll highlight a few. General portraiture would be on location portraits, in studio portraits. There are photographers who only do one of those. They will only do in studio and never do anything outside of the studio because they're really good at what they do and they don't know the other quite as well. There's others that do on location only. Some do bridal portraits, engagement portraits, executive portraits, staff, animal portraits. Those can be amazing. Family portraits, children, glamour, models, fashion, schools, sports teams. You could keep on adding to that list if you want to. Event photography, lots of different types of events. Wedding is kind of a category all its own, but it is an event. General commercial, architecture, tabletop, products, aerial, food, artistic. A couple of you put landscape. That would be in that category. Photo illustration, black and white, fine art, bodyscapes, and the other animals, architecture, art. I mean, there's a ton of stuff you can choose. Write down your favorites, and what number that is, that's up to you right now. You could put your top 5, your top 10, your top 20. It really doesn't matter, but make a quick list of all the things you really enjoy photographing. And I'm not going to give you enough time to do that, but that's what I want you to do. And number 3, this is how to narrow the options that you've just chosen. I want you to choose the types of photography that match your non-photography interests. Pursue what you are most passionate about. You won't be limited to your choices. You will just know which ones to focus on and which ones to accept if they happen to fall in your lap. Spin-off business. These are the ones you aren't marketing. Those aren't the ones we're focused on. We're focused on the ones you will be marketing. So on how to narrow the options, there are 3 steps. And when we finish the 3rd, you will have your niche. The first, go back to number 1, circle the things that are most important to you on that non-photography interest list. Circle them, the most important to you. Once you have circled all the ones that are most important to you, I want you to put a star next to the ones that you are certain you can't live without it. Life wouldn't be the same without it. Put a star next to those. It may be very few. Might be one, might be two, might be three. But narrow that first list, the non-photography interests. Narrow that down. Again, circle the ones that are your favorite, the ones you really like, and put a star next to the ones you just can't live without. Second thing of the three, go back to number 2. Reevaluate and confirm the ones you cannot live without. Same thing as you did for the first one. I want you to circle the ones that are really important to you. And then put a star next to the ones you cannot live without. And then the third, from these 2 things that you've done, you've written down just the ones that you've starred on the non-photography and the photography list. I want you to choose one, but I'm going to make this real easy for you. Write down the ones that you want. And at this point, you would have already done that, but write down the types of photography you really, 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 really like. You really can't live without. You just love this stuff. Write those down. Some of you will only have one already, but most of you probably will have a few that are in your really, really like, you want to do it. You're going to say yes every time. Once you have that small list, now, for some of you, I do realize there'll still be 10 on it. I get it, because there's a lot of things you like to photograph. I totally get it. I understand it. There's a lot of things I like to photograph too. But let's narrow that down to just a handful. Let's say you've got 5 or 10. I want you to put them on a sheet of paper. Write them on a separate sheet of paper. Write each one on a new line, and then just rip it and get several different pieces of paper and put it in a bowl. You guys are picturing that, right? Once you have those favorites, the types of photography that you really, really want to do in a bowl, I'm going to tell you, I can't reach through your screen and do this, but effectively, I am going to pull one out, and you are never, ever going to be able to do that type of photography for the rest of your life, ever. But before I do that, you get one free pass. Pull out one so that I don't even have the potential to pull it out of the bowl. Are you guys following? Give me a thumbs up if you're following, because I can say it a different way. Awesome. And if you're not, you may have to, I don't know, tell me in chat. But you've narrowed this down to however many you've got. Maybe that's 5, maybe that's 10, maybe you're still at number 27. Whatever. Put them all in a bowl. I'm going to pull one of those out, and you never ever get to do it again in your entire life. But before I do that, you get to pull one out that is safe. I want you to take a moment right now to pull one out, mentally speaking, pull one out that's safe. And when you have that, put that in chat. I want to see what it is. Pull one out that is safe. I don't have the potential to pull it out, and it's something you'll never, ever be able to do again. You get to keep it. So I've got one that's family, one that's wildlife. I can see the corporate events. Ooh, flowers. Cool. Street. Ooh, contrasty black and white. I've seen some of that lately, and it's been really good, Amanda. Really good. Jessica, families, good. Nature. Nice. Don't want me to take nature away, huh, Violet? Caps, all caps. Love it. All right. Has everybody had I can't see everybody anymore for whatever reason. But has everybody chosen the one that is safe so that I can move on to the next step? Abstract fine art. Okay. Awesome. All right. Next step is there is no next step. You just told me what your niche is. That's the one. Now, it's quite possible that you want to do something that's in the portrait range. You want to have a business that's a portrait range. So maybe the one you pull out, if we do this again, would be just a portrait option. But no matter what, you have told me this is the most important thing to you. And for some of you, that is exactly what you need to be focused on. Don't be focusing on anything else. Just the one. There's only one of you. You're not going to be the best at 27 things. But you can at least head in the right direction if you're choosing one. Now, since I specialize in portrait work, I know how to make profits on the portrait side. Now, that doesn't mean our business classes can't help those who are interested in nature and street and flowers and corporate events and wildlife. It doesn't actually mean that, because the business principles apply no matter what type of photography you're doing. It's just, I know portrait better than any other category. This is the most important thing to you. It is your niche. Now, somebody like Violet, we've talked, and she's been in some of my classes. I know that you're going to be doing, I know you enjoy nature, but I also know that you're going to be doing portrait work because you want to use that portrait work as your income source. So I'll ask you and anyone else who's in a similar situation to pull out a safe one that's on the portrait side of things. So whether that's high school seniors, boudoir, family portraits, kids, babies, newborns, maternity, whatever that is, pull that one out, and that is your niche for your portrait business. And now you have your niche. Of course, now we need to know what to do with that in order to make a good income. But at least now we have a direction, because when you have a direction, you give yourself potential to reach your goals. There is not a single time where you've ever decided, I need to go to the grocery store, but then gotten out on the road and not known what to do. Oh, that road's pretty. I'm going to go down that road. No. When you're going to the grocery store, you're thinking, I have this, this, and this to get, and I have to be back here by this time because I've got this to do. And so what you have is a destination and a timeline. When you give yourself these two things, you give yourself potential for success. When you don't give yourself a destination or a timeline, what you get is what most photographers are. And I'm going to help you to not be. And that is the inflatable flailing arm tube man, with all of its passion and energy just moving all over the place. Whoa, it's got so much passion and energy and dedication, but where does it get to go? Nowhere. You're not going to be the inflatable flailing tube man if you stick with me. You're going to have direction. You're going to create a path, a timeline, and you will create the potential for making a career in photography. Thank you guys for sitting here with us today, this Monday evening, for the first ever Portrait Profit Show. If you've got some questions, please stick around to ask those. We are sticking around. Amanda and I are sticking around. I wanted to show you. Yeah, that's exactly right. Most photographers will fail within the first few years. It's within the first 5 years that they fail, but yeah, they have already failed within 2. They just don't know it yet. They have passion, they have dedication, and they have perseverance. That's why they continue. They just don't have the business side clear enough to succeed. Yeah. So that's exactly right. So I'm going to show you guys real quick. There is a Portrait Profits has social media and a website, and so I'm going to share with you my the Portrait Profits website real quick. There's not much on it, so it won't take me long. But right now you should be able to see that on your screen. And a weekly show by Landers Photography School in partnership with Digital Pro Lab. The question that I put up here is, what's the difference between a successful photographer and one who struggles? And this is an intro for this class, so you know what Portrait Profits is about. But my response is the sheer determination and perseverance through the tough parts. I call this the power of determination. I introduced this concept to my son, who's now in his mid-20s and not living in the home anymore. In fact, he is engaged to be married in October. But when he was a little guy, I told him about the power of determination because he commented on superhero powers. And I said, you've got one. You've got a really good one. It's the power of determination. When you define what it is you want and you create a path to get there, a timeline, you give yourself potential to be successful. So that's that first page. You can see the schedule is here. It's every Monday. And I want to point out something to you. This is the login, and it's going to remain the login until we see a reason to change it. So you just make note of that. This is today right here, February 8th at 6:30, but you'll notice the one next week is at noon and the one after that is at noon. And the reason is because I have another class that's on Monday evenings, and I can only afford to give up one of those per month. Does that make sense? So I can't give them all up. I can give, I'll donate one. And so the rest of them will be at noon. So every single Monday at noon, except for the second Monday of every month. And that's like this one is today at 6:30 to 8 p.m. We are recording these, and we will put these on the YouTube channel. And so I can show you that there's nothing there yet except for that intro video, but it will be sitting here. And so I encourage you to go to the Portrait Profits page and click on subscribe. Just click on that link on the portraitprofits.com webpage, and it'll take you here. Just click on that subscribe button. We are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, and probably some other places. I have forgotten where else we have our stuff, but that's where that is. Again, next week, we're going to go over the foundation of a portrait price list and how to create one that's unique to you so that you can reach your goals. Oh, Amanda, tell us about that.
So just as a small thank you for being the first class to join us for Portrait Profits, I wanted to do something a little extra for y'all. So we're going to do 40% off 16x20 Pro Luster prints for only y'all when you type in "Build My Business" in the promo code section of any of our ordering systems. That's starting right now, all the way through midnight on the 11th, which I think is Thursday. So if y'all need any 16x20 prints, now's the time to do it. And just for y'all, 40% off, okay?
Woohoo! Thanks, Amanda.
You're welcome.
That's freaking awesome. 40%.
Not for hobby though.
I love it. All right. Do you guys have any questions about what we've gone over today, or what Portrait Profits is all about? I know it'll take you a moment to type that in, but I'm watching the chat. Thanks, Julie. Glad you're here. Oh, Jimmy Thomas, did you raise your hand? Let me change the view so I can see. And participants. Yep, Jimmy Thomas, you've raised your hand. Let me unmute you. Where are you? Oh, there you are. All right. Did you want to ask a question, Jimmy?
I did. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to type it in. What does a $20,000 portrait session look like? Especially one.
I love that question. And I'm going to answer real briefly. And the reason is because I have invited him to speak on Thursday. And you're going to be able to hear it from him. And so I'm going to type into the chat where the website information is about that. It's on the Camera Club, which is Photo SA. Photo SA started in 2006, and Photo SA brings in speakers every single month on the second Thursday of every single month to share their stories, their philosophies, their trials, their how they've succeeded, and or maybe just a how-to, but they can share whatever they want. And he's going to be this photographer, his name's Kevin Saunders, is going to be sharing what he does and what he's doing in order to make that kind of thing happen, because he is getting clients. He's not having trouble. So let's see. It's interesting. I can't type and talk at the same time. So I just put that in the chat. Do you guys see that in the chat window? It says meetup.com/PhotoSA. If you click on that, now if you're not already a member, just click on the join us, and it'll ask you for your name and email, because we send out an email every single month telling you what the next speaker is. And so if you want to come, great. If you don't, great. As far as cost, it's very low cost and it's voluntary. So you can choose to pay, or you can choose not to pay. Totally up to you. The annual fee on it's $29. Each meeting is 10. Again, if you don't want to pay it, don't pay it. It's not about money. It's about putting photographers together. So meetup.com/PhotoSA. Click on that and click on join us, and you'll find out more about what's going on there. But he does things a little differently than the most of us. He is, and he has a different personality. You're gonna see that on Thursday evening at 6:30, same time as this one. But he uses, well, let me back up a step. Do you guys know, and put in the chat, yes or no, do you guys know that cameras, just like fries at McDonald's, come in small, medium, and large? Yes, good. You probably all know that cell phones are in the small category. But you might not know that full frame cameras are also in the small category. They're the largest of the small category. Medium format is in the middle, and large format is the largest. And so, the largest size starts at an image size that is 4 inches by 5 inches. That's the image sensor size. It's huge. And I'm sure you can imagine that the larger the image sensor size, the more your equipment is going to cost. Surprise, surprise, right? You know, he uses a 4x5 view camera. So his costs alone are going to be tremendously more than the rest of us. So he has to have a price that's greater. So it's like comparing apples to oranges. It'd be like comparing the quality level of a cell phone to the quality level of a full frame camera. There is just no comparison. If you have enough experience to know what the difference is. If you don't know what to look for, you may not know what the difference is. But as you study this stuff, you'll realize the difference between a small format, or between a cell phone camera and a full frame digital camera, is tremendous. The amount of difference, it's surprising how much difference there is. I'm not going to go into any more detail on it. That's just how it is. Yeah. Talk about someone who doesn't have to worry about that kind of thing. Love it. Yep. Did that answer your question, Jimmy? Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Anybody else? Oh, good. I'm intrigued. Gonna have to attend on Thursday. That's what I want to hear. Amanda has spoken at Photo Essay at least twice. How many times have you spoken?
I think about twice. Yeah, it's been a
Okay.
while though.
It has been a while.
Mm.
I'll have to do something about that. I might know the guy who can make, you know, those kinds of choices and decisions. I'll have to talk to him.
Let me know.
All right. Any other questions? By the way, you're welcome to do what Jimmy did and just say it. It's a whole lot easier than typing for most of us. Or feel free to type it out. But if there aren't any more questions, then we get to end 8 minutes early. Thank you, Violet. I appreciate that. Thank you. So just I've got another comment because I want to spread the word of what we're doing. I have come across many times photographers who don't want to share good news or good stories or good things about other photographers or educational opportunities. And the reason is because they think that the market's saturated, and if everybody's doing it, they're going to be they're going to have the same struggle. It's just not the case. Not the way I teach it anyway. There aren't enough photographers in San Antonio who are doing it right. So therefore we are wide open as far as opportunity for photographers in San Antonio. Now, I do specialize on the portrait side, I mentioned already. And so I know for sure that about the portrait side, I'm not aware of the food and the nature side as much, but I would assume it has just as much opportunity as the portrait side does. So I want to ask you to, if you enjoyed this class, if you felt like there was just a smidgen of information that you found beneficial, will you post that on your Facebook page? Or go to the San Antonio Photography or San Antonio Photographers, one of the Facebook pages, and just say, I was at the Portrait Profits class tonight and I recommend it to everybody, or something along those lines. If you felt like you got something out of this, that is how you can, like I said, Amanda and I are just donating our time. If you feel like our donation of time is worth the 2 minutes or less that it takes to post something nice about us on Facebook, I encourage you to do so, because the greater number of people who know that we're doing this, the better it is for everybody, because we are lifting everyone up, which means all of us are going to have a better income. We are going to get our clients to expect prices that are normal, and normal means you can sustain yourself on it. I want you to all become career photographers where you are making enough money to not be doing anything other than your passion in photography. That's what Amanda and I want. And that's what you want. That's called a win-win. So let's win together. Perfect. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Francis. You rock. Francis is in our career photographer program. It's 2 years, 300 classroom hours. And she is in the second semester of a total of 6 semesters. She'll be graduating in August of 22. I don't know if you wanted me to tell everybody that, Francis, but I'm proud of you. Thanks, Henry. Thanks, Violet.
So this isn't really about the Zoom, but near my workplace, there's a Landers Photography office kind of thing. What all do you guys do there?
Is that on I-10?
Yep.
Outside of 1604?
I work at the Domino's right by it.
Oh, cool. And I have bought pizzas from you.
Sweet.
And they're really good. I like Domino's. But that represents 17 years, the last 17 years we have been at that location. But COVID caused us to pivot and move out this past summer. Because of the rules and the social distancing and that kind of stuff, based on the rules and the size of space that we have, we weren't able to have more than 3 or 4, well, 3 students and 1 teacher in the classroom at any one time. And because of that, that's our break even. And there's no reason to work your tail off if you know ahead of time that your only potential is to break even. And we had no clue how long this stuff was going to last. And you know, so between March when we had to stop and the end of June when we moved out, we were just coasting on savings. I mean, we maintained everything, but we didn't have enough income to cover it. It made no sense to do it at that time. But we thought, you know, based on what you heard in the beginning in February, March of last year, that it's going to be a month, maybe 2. You know, we're going to be all good here. Definitely by the end of summer. And so, with that thinking, I was thinking, well, I can use my savings and cover all of the office expenses. And you know, those of you who have office expenses, you know what that means. Amanda, you know what office expenses mean. It's not cheap. I mean, the least expensive would probably be the equivalent of your house, but it's probably a lot more than that in most situations. And so to not have to have that when you're using savings, that was the reason why we moved out. So I appreciate you asking, Lorelai. Yeah, that office space served us well. We were there for long enough for the original sign to heat up in the west facing sign. It was facing west. It got so hot over the years that it just bubbled up and just started looking ugly. And so we got a new one about 2 years ago, maybe 3. But yeah, that was a good space. We enjoyed being there, but now we're doing nearly everything online. We have about 100 different class titles, but some of them just can't be done online. For instance, on Wednesday of next week, we have a shutter speeds. And we go to, since June, to do our shutter speed assignment, we go to the Bass Pro Shop. There is, in the parking lot to the left side, there is a waterfall, and it's really cool. It's man-made, but it's really cool. We go and photograph the waterfall, and then we walk over to the access road and photograph cars driving by. That's how we do our shutter speed class. So that's an exception. Most of them are done like we're doing right now with web-based. And we have as many as 2 or 3 per day, but normally it's 1, and we've reduced the number of days. We just are Monday through Thursday. We have very few on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday anymore. We had hardly on Sunday anyway, but every once in a while we'll have one on Friday, and Friday and Saturday, not quite as much as we used to. Mostly Monday through Thursday.
Once this COVID stuff's over, do you think you'll be reopening that location?
I don't think so.
No?
But that's because I've kept in contact with the property manager, and he says that it has been rented out by a driver's ed company.
Is sign still there?
I know. And I don't know how to take the sign out of that. It's a frame, and I need to take my sign out of it, but I don't have a clue how to get it off. It's like the pieces are welded on, so I don't know how to get it out of there. But yeah, good question. No, I don't anticipate moving back. That doesn't mean that we won't do something, but temporarily we're web only, almost only. Thank you for asking. All right. I think we're good. Any other questions? I didn't see any others in the chat unless I missed something. Nope. All right. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure. I love talking about this stuff. I love that you're interested in hearing me talk. That's a lot. My wife doesn't want to hear me say anything else. She said these words that I'm about to say. I've heard enough of your voice. When I asked her if she was going to join this, she said, I hear enough of your voice. Is that what she's putting up her, oh, I don't think they can see that. It's not far enough. Yeah. So Robin says that she's heard enough of my voice, and she happened to walk by as I was saying that. And there's her thumbs up. It's not my hand. So thank you for being willing to listen to my voice when my wife won't. Appreciate you guys, and I really look forward to seeing you. Either go visit Amanda and go visit Digital Pro Lab. Use that 40% off coupon. Gosh, use that. That's a really good deal. Freaking amazing. Hopefully we'll see you on Thursday or at any of the Landers Photography School classes. By the way, that's landersphotoschool.com if you want to see that list. Up at the top, you can see get email updates, and every week I send out an email of a list of all the classes. And so if you want that list of classes that are coming up, just click on that get email updates. It's at the very top of the page on landersphotoschool.com. Thanks, Amanda. So now you can just click that link. All right, you guys, again, thanks so much for being here. I look forward to seeing you guys at least next Monday at noon. Thanks, guys. Bye for now.